My name is Cody Cooper. I'm a sales engineer for B9 Creations. My colleagues joining me today are Joel Rakovic.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. I work in the technical support department.
And my other colleague is Megan Baum.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. I am in the sales department with B9Creations.
And together we'd like to welcome you to the B9 Creations B9Create Webinar. We hope to provide some helpful information for our software usage, and well, thank you for joining us today. So we would like your feedback during this, well, we want to build products for people, we want to build products people want to use. So we're looking to build a group of beta testers to help develop new products such as our software, hardware, and materials. And we want to do so to meet your needs. So please sign up at b9c.com/beta to become a beta tester today. So today on the webinar, we're going to be going over the B9Create interface, basic to moderate functionality, some new features that we have added in our software, and then tips of tricks that our seasoned users may have missed. So please follow along and download today at b9c.com. Also, today we're releasing a new firmware, so if you want to update your B9 Core Series products today, and see some new features there. Without further ado, we're going to get started here, but I'm going to release a poll really quick, and we'd like you to fill this out for us, provide some input. So when you can, you'll see it pop up in the bottom section of your screen, and fill out the poll when you have a chance. So it looks like we have some fairly seasoned users here of 3D printing, and yep, looks good so far. All right. So with that, I'm going to move on here. So this next section has been pre-recorded to save time. And if you have any questions, please message in the chat. We will respond via chat, and we will address all questions in the Q&A section afterwards. With that, we're going to get started here. B9Create is a software that preps STL files made in a CAD software for 3D printing on our Core Series machines. B9Create is not a CAD software, but a hub for connected Core Series machines and a file prepper for 3D printing. Once these STL files are oriented sufficiently and supported to the proper standards, the STL file These CPJ files can then be uploaded onto the printer via B9Create. A printer can hold approximately 70 STL or CPJ files. This first window is the Print Manager. From here you can connect to printers and examine all their necessary information. Quick tip: the settings button at the top right corner of the window allows you to change the language of the software, update printer passwords, and see what firmware the printers and B9Create are on. The first column in the Print Manager is Printer Connections. This column shows the connected printers that are on the same network as the computer you are working from. We are currently connected to a B9 Core 530 and 550 machine. If I wanted to remove this printer or add another, I would simply click on one of these two buttons at the bottom of the column. Right now, I am going to remove the sample 550 machine. The second column is the information for the printer itself. The first row shows the current status of the selected printer. This includes the printer's name, model, serial number, and connected IP address. This will also show the status of the printer in the sense of if the printer is finished printing, if it's ready to print, and if a print has failed. In this location right here, if there were an update for the firmware, it would appear right here. It also shows the last print that was completed on the printer. In the second row, there is the print library, and we're going to get back to this later in the webinar. The third row is the available materials with which to print with. Core series includes settings for black, emerald, yellow, and gray resins, as well as the ability to add custom materials yourself. Below here is the option to add custom material settings. They're compatible with the Core Series machines and DLP functionality. This window allows you to change the name, slice thickness, exposure value, and choose a color with which it will appear on the machine's interface. This custom material manipulation option comes free with the software, but beside this option down here is a button that will open a link to our website and provide information on our purchasable suite software package for a more in-depth custom material settings creation called B9 Captivate. Please check out B9 Captivate if you plan on using third-party resins and want to create your own settings for them. The fourth row is called Queue. We'll come back to this later in the webinar as well. The fifth row brings up the logs and statistics of the printer, which allows the user to see the printer model, firmware version, serial number, finished prints, attempted prints, and prints aborted by the user. In the sixth row, it shows the history of the prints completed on the printer. This is helpful for showing the actual time that the models took to print as compared to the estimation that appears on the printer. The actual time appears right here. Next, we're going to dive into the print editor. I simply click on this icon in the top right, upper right-hand corner. Print editor is the portion of B9Create that allows the user to import and prep STL files for 3D printing on our Core Series machines. Quick tip, the first thing to point out is how to move around in the software. The View tab at the top left of the window includes features to center your view, run through perspectives in reference to a build table, switch to a perspective view, and hide the build table itself. These snap views are helpful for quickly navigating your models and are also across the top of the status column here. The next thing to show is the Settings tab, which allows you to choose if the STL units window pops up when uploading models to select the necessary units for your model. It also allows you to alter the control settings for your personal preference and includes the option to change support presets, but we will get back to this later in the webinar. The Help tab allows you to access the What's This option. If you have any question about what a button does, just click on the What's This, and then click on the button in question to read a description of what it does. Quick tip, the Help tab also includes the option to view all the print editor's hotkeys for quick manipulation of the software and imported parts. If you are supporting many files over a long period of time, these hotkeys will save time in the supporting process. For those of you new to 3D software, knowing how to move around in the software is a must. To rotate around the build area, simply right or left click, hold, and move the mouse in any direction. To zoom in and out, scroll up or down on the scroll wheel. To pan in the window, click the scroll wheel button, hold, and move the mouse in any direction. Now that we know how to move around in the software, it is time to import a model for printing. The status column on the left-hand side of the screen contains the main meat of model and print manipulation. First thing of importance is to make sure that you are supporting a print on the correct machine. You'll notice when I change my target printer from 530 to 550 that the blue area on the build table changes. This is due to the different models of printer and their available areas to print on. You must select the printer that you're planning to print off, or else the printer will not recognize the file. I'm going to select 530 for this particular print. Once that is selected, it is time to import your STL file. In the model list column, there is an add button, which allows you to search your file explorer to find a model for importing. Once selected, the STL units pop-up window appears and I can choose my units for my model. This particular one is in millimeters. I will now hit OK. The file is uploaded. The model list, back on the left-hand side here, will show all the models that are currently on your build area. When a model is selected, it is highlighted turquoise, and when not, it is gray. You'll notice that when a model is imported and selected, many new buttons and tabs become available for use. The tools to move your model around the build area and orient for the best possible print are located above the print volume viewing window, here. Simply selects the model without manipulating it at all. Move allows you to move the model in the X and Y direction on your build area. You'll notice that as I move the model out of the build volume lines, the walls will tint red. This means that a model is out of the build volume and will not print. Instead, it will be a flat surface cutoff. Keep the model within the build volume in order for it to print fully. Spin allows you to spin the model in about the 3D axis. Orient allows you to alter the position of the model in 3D space. This is important for getting the best results when printing. We will get into that later. For now, this model is good to print standing straight up and down. Scale allows you to resize the model as large or as small as you want, but it is important to keep in mind the capabilities of the printer and whether it can print something at the different sizes you choose. All these tools can be manually altered in the model information column underneath the model list, located here. This column shows the size of the object, its position, rotation, and scale. For now, I will reset everything back to its original configuration. I'm going to go into position, reset everything back to 0. Reset the rotation by clicking this button here. And reset the scaling factor to 1, which is the default. Quick tip. The lock aspect ratio checkbox, located here, keeps the scaling in all directions the same. If you wanted to alter the model in only one direction, you would uncheck this box, as I have done, and alter the values only in the direction you wish to alter. So if I alter the X direction, make it 2, it's going to scale in that direction twice the size of the previous. I go back to 1, and I will lock the aspect ratio. The mirrored checkbox mirrors the model about the y-axis, as shown here. Once the model is in the best orientation, supporting is next to complete if it is necessary. Clicking on the Support tab located beside the Models tab will take you to the supporting window. The supporting window is where you can place support material that will aid in the printability of your model. These supports can easily be removed after printing. You'll notice that the model is now up off the build table. This is an automatic feature to prepare the proper amount of room for adding supports. However, this particular model does not require any supports on the bottom of the ring due to a sprue that was attached in the CAD software that it was made in. Quick tip: support and foundation material, such as a sprue, can be added to your model in most CAD software. Oftentimes it can be easier to add them before coming to B9Create. However, you still have to keep in mind that you're prepping for 3D printing. You will also notice that as I move my mouse over the model's surface, there will be what we call contour lines that move with the mouse. These are essentially the layers that the printer will be projecting when printing the model. As I near portions of the ring that are close to being parallel to the build table, the contour lines get closer and closer until they collide completely. It is at these 0 points or overhangs that supports need to be placed to start and support models. Now, I'm going to go back to a presentation to discuss more about how DLP prints need to be supported. Okay, digital light projection, or DLP 3D printers, use projected UV light to harden and build 2D layers over 3D space, such as the graphic in this slide right here. Since DLP printers can print whole layers at a time, both speed and resolution are exceptional for mass-producing high-quality detailed models. When supporting models, it is important to keep this process of printing in mind because 2D layers, where the print is beginning, need something to grow or build on. The first graphic on this slide shows a model that starts off printable, but the next layer has a large overhang. As denoted by the transition in color, the green sections will print fine, while the yellow may hold on to the model beside it, but as you get further away, such as in the red areas here, the higher the chance the model will fail. The second graphic shows that if supports are added in the discolored areas, the model will print without any issues. The third graphic shows how orientation can affect printability. The first model here that is angled and the tips are only touching the build table would print because the 45-degree angle allows for the previous layers or the next layers to build off of the previous layers. However, due to the small points of contact onto the build table, this print or this model is bound to fall off mid-print. If oriented flush with the build table, like in the second model here, it will require supports shown in the graphic and will print. The next graphic shows an umbrella upright on the build table. This will help to understand where to place supports on the model. While keeping the contour lines in mind from the support software, think about water running over this umbrella. Where is the water going to fall from as it hits and flows from the top of the umbrella to the edges here? The answer is the very tips of the underside here. These points are where it is necessary to add supports. The next graphics show the umbrella supported as is and then oriented differently and supported. As you can see, orientation can affect where your support placement is as well as the number of supports used. So while keeping what we just learned in mind, we're going to go back and to finish completely supporting our model. All right, next we are going to add supports to this model at critical structural points so that it can be printed properly. Quick tip: the Support Tools tab at the top of the screen has an option labeled Automatic Supports. Clicking on this will bring up a pop-up menu that allows you to adjust the density of supports automatically applied to the model. Now, this tool is not a one-click fix, but more of a place to start and reference for future use. I have the slide bar set to 40% right now, and I will click Generate Now to make some supports. After clicking Generate Now, you'll need to delete miscellaneous supports that fuse with the model itself, or you will need to add some to necessarily support the model. This tool is helpful to give you an idea as to what the software is seeing needs to be supported. For now, I will clear all these automatic supports and place the rest manually. To place supports, I'm going to click on the Add tool located above the Print Volume Viewing window, and then place 3 supports on the overhang of the shank. Here, here, and here. This will keep the shape of the ring and prevent the overhang from peeling away. Quick tip: different areas of the model may require different sizes of supports. Underneath the support list here, there is a column called Support Parameters. This contains all the values you can use to alter the shape of supports as necessary. We have provided you with 4 presets of tiny, light, medium, and heavy. These 4 presets come with the software, and then there is a 5th option to customize your own. Now, tiny is the most recent addition to the software, as we noted that a tiny support was needed for a lot smaller, detailed portions of models. Another quick tip: the Settings tab at the top of the screen has an option labeled Set Support Defaults. Clicking on this will bring up a pop-up menu that allows you to alter the preset values for tiny, light, medium, and heavy supports. I find this particularly useful as I typically work with very small models and have preset all the supports to be a size smaller than they are at their default. Now, to modify these supports, you can click on the Modify tool above the Print Volume Viewing window. I'm going to click on the middle support and make it a medium size support to make it sturdier. Simply click on the medium support here. Now it has made it larger into a medium support. Quick tip: a helpful modification for supports is to adjust the penetration of the support's top. This is located right here. Lowering this will reduce the contact area that the support has with the model, thus reducing the amount that the support affects the final print. I recommend a minimum of 0.1, which I will use now. With this size support, I can delete the other 2 supports beside it because the one medium support can do the job in this case. To delete supports, you can click on the Delete tool located above the Print Volume Viewing window and click on the supports to delete. Now I need to add 2 light supports on the larger overhangs of the ring's head here. I'll click Add, select Light, that one here, and one here. The Modify tool also allows you to move supports around after placing them, so I'm going to move the bases onto the same point of contact as this medium support here. I'm going to click on the Modify tool, select the bases, and place them on the medium support contact. This will make removing the supports a lot easier after printing. This model also has some internal features, and I want to support them, but I can't quite see in there to support it. So I'm going to use the X-ray vision tool, which is located above the perspective view tools. Click this button here, and this tool allows you to slide this bar and cut through the model to see the internal features. It takes some time to get used to, but once you've figured it out and know what you're looking at, it can be extremely useful for supporting models. So I'm going to place 2 tiny supports on these overhangs right here and right here. And I'm going to exit out of the X-ray vision tool by pressing the same button. So something to keep in mind, these supports that I've now placed are in a tricky spot to remove after printing. But with the tools provided in the Core Series accessory kit, I can remove them fairly easily. It is important to make sure that you can remove supports after printing so that they do not become trapped within the model. Quick tip: if you need To measure the model in the software for sizing or to check holes for future support removal, you can use the Measure tool. This is located in the Support Tools tab at the top of the screen, and it is the bottom selection here. To use this tool, simply click a location on the model, click and hold the mouse button, and run it over the model itself. As you can see, the distance is changing at the first contact point. Once the model is properly supported, the last step is to add a foundation layer. The model doesn't need to be flush with the build table itself. To add a foundation layer, scroll up, and underneath this Model and Support tab, you have this Foundation checkbox. Once selected, some options to alter the shape, size, and thickness pop up. The shapes include cube, cylinder, mesh, and peel. My favorite is the peel foundation, as the corners are pre-peeled for easy removal after printing. For now, we're going to use the cube foundation. Coverage affects the area of the foundation, and the last field here affects the thickness of the foundation itself. Supporting is now complete. Now I will click on the Models tab above the Foundation checkbox. You may have noticed that our model is still floating above the build table. I will now click on Snap to Foundation or Snap to Floor, and these tools are located above the Perspective View tools. Quick tip: lowering the height of the models reduces the overall time of your print. If you keep that in mind, that height directly affects time to print. This will be beneficial when orienting and supporting your models. Another quick tip: if you're dealing with scan models, the Solidify Scan tool is located above the model manipulation tools right here. This can project a filled-in base from the scan layer directly to the build table. Now, we don't have any scan models for this particular portion of the webinar, but it is there for your use if necessary. Once a model is properly oriented and fully supported, we can add more of the same model by clicking on the Duplicate button located underneath the model list. I'm going to add 5 prints of these. Okay. When duplicated, the models will be placed randomly in the printing area and occasionally outside of the area if there is no room. Quick tip: instead of moving all of the models manually with the Move tool, you can select the Model Tools tab at the top of the window and select the Auto Arrange Models. This will place the models on the build area without going outside of the build volume or colliding into one another. Another quick tip: if you highlight all of the models, you can use the Move or Scale tools to move them as a group by pressing and holding down the Control key and moving. This comes in handy when you need to move or scale a group of pre-supported models at one time. For now, I'm going to remove all but one of the models by highlighting 5 I don't want and clicking on the Remove button underneath the model list. Once the model has been oriented, supported, and the appropriate quantity placed on the build table, it is time to finally slice the model. The Slice button, located here, is in the Status column, and below this is the checkbox for Slice for Surface Finish. This is a recent feature added for the benefit of producing smoother models and limiting the amount of grow lines that can be felt or seen by the user. While the slice time does increase, the print time remains the same, and the time for post-processing parts goes down dramatically due to the already smooth surfaces. For now, I will slice this model without the surface finish by unchecking the box here. And to slice, you simply press on the slice button. It'll ask if you want to save your changes. I'm going to hit yes. I will save as sample 1, and I will overwrite this. Yep. So it is now beginning slicing, and it produces an estimated time to completion. For this next portion, we're going to fast forward in order to save time. All right, after the file is done slicing, you'll notice that the slice button has switched to 2 different buttons. The first one is View Slices. This allows you to cycle through all the slices of the model by clicking on the Slice Layer Preview and then scrolling up or down using the Page Up or Page Down buttons on your keyboard there. These slices are what the printer will be projecting to print your model. Scrolling through these layers is beneficial to see if you need to support something better or if your file is flawed. Now, the layer that I'm going to stop on here, right here, you'll notice that there is a difference in colors. You have a white section and a red section. White means that it is supported by the layer underneath it, while red means that there is a large overhang. These overhangs may or may not print, as it depends on the distance between the support and the actual model itself. In this instance, the distance is correct and the models will print. As I close out of here, the second button is the Upload to Printer button. This is a recent addition to the software that allows you to upload a completed CPJ file to a printer directly from the print editor. Now we're going to hold off from that for now, but let's head back to the Print Manager window and check out the print library. Going back to the print library row, we can see the list of prints already uploaded to the printer. Currently there is just one, the sample print 530. Here it shows the total number of prints, the print name, the print size, and the date last updated. These columns can be used to sort the models depending on clicking the column names. From here you can add, download, and remove prints from this window. From here I'm going to click on Add a New Print, and you can see I have 3 prints ready here. So not only will I add the one that we just completed, but I will add the other 2 as well. And this new option is called Batch Upload, which is a recent feature as well. From here you will notice this new multiple upload information window. Here you can see the result of the files uploading and even slice files from here if they aren't already sliced. You'll notice that one of our files did not upload. This is due to it being sliced for 550 and not 530. At the bottom of the window are 3 filters located here. If you want to check on these boxes or offer on these boxes, it will show you which prints have succeeded in uploading, their progress, and if they have failed or not. Then you can exit the window by selecting the exit button. Here are 2 successfully uploaded files and the sample print that is. Then the 4th row is queue. In this window, you can create a queue of prepared prints on a printer. This allows you to set up mini files the day before printing, uploading them to the printer, and then the day of printing is hassle-free, as you have only to worry about printing and carrying the parts. To set up a queue, you click on the model list to select your desired prints, then click on the material list to select your desired resin, and finally choose the quality of which you'd like to print at from the quality list. Then you can click Add or this plus sign here to add it to the queue. And then you will repeat this with all the prints that you would like to print. I'm going to add another one with emerald at 30 microns and add it as well. Once you have the queue ready, you can see all the details of the prints, including the total time estimate for the whole queue located here. This will help you see how many prints can be completed in an 8-hour day and allow you to pace your business. You can also alter the order of the queue by clicking on these arrows on the right-hand side of the window here. Then you can remove prints from the queue with the X's located on the right here, or all the prints altogether in the queue by using the clear queue option down here at the bottom. The Allow Printer Modification button allows you to lock or unlock the queue in order on the printer. If unlocked, the operator at the printer can choose which prints to start and end with. This is vice versa when locked. The queue can then be accessed on the printer under the new touchscreen selection icon, Print Queue. All right, so that ends the pre-recorded section. We now have a second poll for you all to take, so we'll release that. And if you won't mind filling this one out here. All right, the poll is launched. So we have, what types of webinars would you like to see in the future? And then what is the most important software feature you'd like to see in the next software launch? And then, yep, once you fill that out, we'll be happy to take your questions here for the Q&A. Please ask your questions in the chat, and then we'll answer them over the mic here. So. And yeah, if we don't have any questions, we have a few preset ones that we can just go over and answer. So we'll go ahead and start with number one. So I did talk about in the beginning, there was a new firmware release today. You're going to want to check that again on your core series machines and upload that as soon as possible. We've updated a few things and yeah, altered some necessary software functions there. So our next preset question that we have here is the firmware updates if your printer's not connected to Wi-Fi. So in order to do that, you're going to download the firmware update via the B9Create on your PC that you're using, and then place that onto a USB. And with that USB, you can actually go to your core series machines and upload the firmware that way. Then we have Joel here. He's going to clarify that more.
Thanks, Cody. So a lot of people wonder where they can locate the firmware update on the Create software. So if you're in the Print Manager and you go to the Settings page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see the firmware, the most recent firmware that's been released, and that can be transferred to your USB and then to the printer.
All right. Another question that popped up in the Q&A was the size of the foundation and adding foundation material to keep your models attached to the build table. So does the size of the foundation matter, essentially? Yes, it does. You want the foundation itself to be twice the size of the width of the part, essentially. So you want the foundation to come out further than the part is actually in the X and Y direction. This will just make sure that it adheres to the build table and doesn't fall off mid-print, because the foundation does have a suction effect onto the build table that you want to take advantage of to keep your models attached to the build table. So with that, that's our preset questions here. We would appreciate, or if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A, and we can keep them being answered here.
Also, everyone, we do appreciate you being on today. This is a first in what we hope to be many more webinars for you. So we'd also like feedback from you. So anything that you hit on a little bit in more detail, or any webinars that you think would be beneficial in the future, please feel free with us, or feel free to let us know so that we can continue to do these and add anything that would be beneficial to help you guys in your day-to-day.
All right. Okay, so what is the latest firmware version? That is, it's the 58th version today. And then,
Yeah, the question is, what is the best way to connect multiple B9 printed parts of a modular design? Not sure I totally understand that question. Do you? What is the best way to connect multiple B9 printed parts of a modular design? You know, we've had modular designs where if you're speaking about designs that snap together or connect together, the best way to do that is to go through the printing process, cleaning, and then the model curing process before you try to attach pieces together. I'm not sure if that's the question, but that's my guess as to the answer.
so another question we have is any notifications of firmware updates for those with printers not connected to a network? The firmware update notification will not appear on the printer itself if it's not connected, but it will appear on the PC that you work from, as long as that is connected to the network as well. For all firmware updates, you require a network connection to receive the update. As for the pre-recorded section that we showed there, it's not downloadable as of yet. We will send out this webinar, which has been recorded, to all who signed up, and eventually we will get that video on the website itself. Yeah, with that, please remember, or I mentioned at the beginning, to become a beta tester. If you are interested in that and helping out with our production of our products, materials, and software, please sign up at b9c.com/beta and become a beta tester today. We have another question here.
Yeah, we have a question regarding supporting overhangs. They found that more is better for those planar surfaces. So any surface, you know, especially of any length at all, it is better to have supports closer together than further apart, just from the fact that that material section in between supports can start to droop. So typically the printer will print horizontally about 1 millimeter. So if you keep your supports at 0.5 millimeter or less, you should be able to print those surfaces.
All right, thank you, Joel. If you have any more questions, please contact info@b9c.com or call us at 605-787-0652. Again, that's 605-787-0652. And thank you so much for attending today. I believe we have another comment or question here. On other printers, On other printers, we have a recommendation that 2 millimeters is the max distance horizontally that you want to support from. That's from one of our customers' experience here. Yeah, depending on the model, you will have to play around with this and the size of the support itself. So, yep, that will be a good start there. Yep, and if there aren't any more questions, we all like to thank you so much for attending, and yeah, we appreciate the help here.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Again, just let us know if you have any feedback on future webinars. Thank you.